I want to start today by talking about a very specific feeling, a physical sensation. I think you probably know the one I mean. It's that moment, maybe it's late at night, the house is finally quiet, or you've just finished a huge project, you close the last browser tab, you turn the music off.
You put the phone down.
You put the phone down, face down, and the room, it doesn't just get quiet, it starts to hum.
Yes. It's a very visceral feeling, isn't it? It's not really a sound you hear with your ears.
No.
It's more like a vibration, a presence in the room.
Exactly. It's a low vibration. And it feels like it's rising right out of my own chest. And, getting into this topic, I had to face something really uncomfortable about that moment.
Oh.
For me, it isn't peaceful. It's charged. It feels like the air right before a thunderstorm breaks. And almost instantly, before a conscious thought can even form, I had this reflex.
To fill the space.
To fill the space. I grab the phone, I turn on the TV, I need noise, I need it to stop.
You are definitely not alone in that reflex. It's really the urge to outrun a presence that suddenly feels very, very large.
And that's really the core question for our deep dive today. Why does silence feel like danger? Why, when we finally get the quiet we say we crave, does it feel like a threat?
It's a profound question.
We're going to be exploring this through the lens of Gestalt therapy. And I have to say, this isn't just theory for me. This one hits home. It's about why we're so terrified of just being.
And to really get at this, I think we have to start by completely flipping our definition of silence.
Okay.
We tend to think of silence as empty, right? We say we avoid it because we're bored or we need stimulation. But the Gestalt perspective suggests the exact opposite. Silence feels dangerous not because it's empty, but because it is too full.
Too full. Wow, that's a heavy concept to start with. Unpack that for me.
It's overflowing. Think about it just mechanically. When the external noise stops, the podcasts, the emails, the notifications, the internal noise finally has room to be heard. All the things you've been too busy, too distracted, or, too numb to feel, they suddenly rush in to fill that vacuum.
So the noise was like a dam holding back the water.
Precisely. The noise is a dam, and the moment it stops, the dam breaks. And what comes through isn't usually a clear thought like, I am sad. It's often sensation first.
What do you mean?
A tightness in your throat, a heaviness behind your eyes, that little restless twitch in your leg. Those aren't just random physical tics. They are the physical proof of what we call unfinished business.
Unfinished business. That phrase, it hits hard. It sounds almost like a ghost story. What does it actually mean?
In Gestalt, we talk about incomplete figures. These are experiences or emotions or needs that never got to resolve.
Like what?
A conversation you had in your head but never said out loud. A grief you packed away because you had to get back to work. Even a joy you didn't fully let yourself feel because it felt too fragile.
And these things don't just go away.
They don't disappear. They linger. They become a quiet, persistent ache in the background.
So that's the hum.
That's the hum.
It's the sound of everything I haven't dealt with.
Yes. And most of us live with this constant internal static. We use the external noise to drown out the internal noise, the rehearsed arguments, the regrets, the worries. We mistake that static for living, but really, it's a buffer, it's armor.
That really resonates. This idea that we have to keep the engine revving because, idling feels like stalling and stalling feels like dying. It's this deep existential panic.
It absolutely is.
If I stop moving, if I stop consuming information, do I even exist?
And we need to look at this with compassion. It's a survival strategy. You aren't scrolling on your phone because you're lazy or addicted. You're doing it because being fully present, being fully here, is incredibly intense.
It means feeling things you don't want to feel.
It means feeling the shame of snapping at your partner, or the loneliness that's there even when you're surrounded by friends. It means facing the raw, trembling human reality of who you are.
So we run. We run with our attention.
We run. But the paradox is the silence we are running from is the only place we can actually meet ourselves.
Okay, before we get into the how, because the breakdown of these defense mechanisms is fascinating, I want to try something.
An experiment.
A mini experiment. For you listening, and for me right now.
Yeah.
Let's just try to sit for 10 seconds. And the instruction is, don't try to relax. Don't try to be zen. Just stop filling the space.
Okay. Just notice what happens.
Okay, wow. Even just thinking about doing that, I feel it. There's a twitch. My hand literally wants to reach for my pen. There's a surge of is it anxiety? It's just unease.
That surge is incredibly important. In Gestalt, we don't look at that as failure. We look at that and we say, this is data, that twitch.
Yeah.
That is a rupture in what we call the contact cycle.
The contact cycle.
Yeah.
This is a core framework. Can you walk us through this? Because it seems to explain the mechanics of why we just can't sit still.
Of course. It's a beautiful, really organic framework for how all living things interact with the world to satisfy their needs. It starts with a sensation arising, let's say, a dry throat. That sensation becomes a figure. It stands out from the background of your awareness.
Right, so I'm thirsty becomes the main event in my head.
Exactly. Then you mobilize energy. You decide to get up, you move toward the kitchen, that's the action. Then comes contact, you drink the water, the need is met. And finally, and this is the key part we all struggle with, there's withdrawal or satisfaction.
What's that?
The figure dissolves, the thirst is gone, you return to a state of rest, the cycle is complete.
Okay, that makes sense for something physical like thirst. But what about emotional needs?
That's where it gets tricky. With emotional needs, the need for comfort, for expression, for grief, for just plain rest, we habitually interrupt the cycle. We cut it short.
Why would we stop ourselves from getting what we need?
Because completion requires presence. To complete the cycle of grief, you have to actually mourn. You have to cry until you're empty. To complete the cycle of rest, you have to actually let go of control.
And letting go is terrifying.
For the modern brain, it feels like you're out of control. So we interrupt, we stay in that mobilization phase, always doing, always thinking, but never making contact, never finding satisfaction.
So we're just living in a state of constant interruption, like a million open tabs in our brain, and none of them ever get closed.
And that interruption isn't just a mental choice, it's a physiological pattern. We have these specific mechanisms we use to stop that contact from happening.
Okay, let's get into those. The 4 defense mechanisms. The reasons we can't just be. When I read about these, I felt very seen, and not in a good way.
Right. And again, these are survival strategies. They kept you safe at some point, but now they might be prisons. The first one is retroflexion.
Retroflexion, it sounds like reflection, but it's different.
Oh, very different. Retroflexion is when you turn an action that was meant for the world and you turn it inward against yourself.
To be a concrete example.
Okay. Imagine you're in a meeting. You have this impulse to speak up, to disagree with a bad idea. That's energy moving outward. But you're afraid of the conflict. You're afraid of being judged.
So you bite your tongue.
You do more than that. You physically hold it back.
Yeah.
You clench your jaw. You tense your shoulders. You are swallowing the words, the anger, the truth.
Oh, wow. I'm just realizing my shoulders are practically up by my ears right now.
That's retroflexion in action. Your body becomes what we call a graveyard of unexpressed impulses. You are literally holding back energy that wants to move. It's exhausting.
That's such a visceral image. It explains why I can be sitting on the couch doing nothing and feel completely drained. I'm wrestling myself.
You are, and silence makes that wrestling match very, very loud.
Okay, number 2, interjection.
Yes, this is swallowing whole. It's when you swallow beliefs, rules, or standards without chewing on them or digesting them to see if they're actually right for you.
So it's swallowing the rule book.
Exactly. It's when you have these scripts running in your head like, if I'm not useful, I'm wasting time. Or real adults don't need quiet. Or boys don't cry.
And those aren't even your own beliefs.
They might not be. They might be from your parents, your teachers, your culture. But they live inside you like these foreign objects telling you how to be.
I feel that one so deeply. The I must be productive script is so loud, it's not even my voice, but I obey it. If I sit still, that interject starts screaming, "You're lazy!"
And that script effectively blocks the cycle of rest. You can't complete it if an internal voice is yelling that rest is dangerous. You have to spit out that interject. You have to ask, is this actually true for me?
Right. Okay, number 3, projection. We hear this word a lot, but what's the specific definition here?
It's about attributing your internal state to the outside world. So you sit in silence and the thought that comes is, this room is so boring. Or this silence feels empty and cold.
When really,
Yeah.
I'm the one feeling empty or cold.
Or lonely. Or terrified. You take the feeling inside you, which is too hard to look at, and you paste it onto the environment. You disown the feeling by saying silence is the enemy.
That makes so much sense with the hum we started with. We blame the quiet for how we feel in the quiet. This silence is oppressive.
No, I am oppressed by my own thoughts.
Precisely. The silence is just a mirror. If it feels hostile, it's often because you are feeling hostile toward yourself.
Ooh, okay. And the last one, confluence.
Confluence is the blurring of boundaries. It's the fog. It's when you don't know where you end and other people begin.
This is the classic people pleaser mode, right?
It often looks like that, yes. You're
Okay.
in a group and you can't tell if you're actually having fun or if you're just reflecting everyone else's energy. But alone in silence, confluence is a lack of self. You sit down for a me time and you don't know what to do.
Because there's no me there to check in with. Because your entire internal radio is tuned to other people's frequencies. You're lost in a fog of shoulds. What is my partner doing? What is my boss thinking about that project? There's no distinct I to even meet the silence.
So they have these 4 guards at the gate. Retroflection, I'm holding it in. Interjection, I'm obeying the rules. Projection, I'm blaming the room. And confluence, I'm lost in the fog. No wonder sitting still feels like a battleground.
It is a battleground. But here's the hopeful part. Silence is the only thing that reveals these patterns. When you turn off the noise, you finally see them. Oh, I'm clenching my jaw. Oh, I'm telling myself I'm lazy again. The silence shows you the mechanism.
So knowing all this, how do we shift? Because I'm listening and thinking, okay, I do all of those. If I'm sitting there, the hum is starting, the anxiety is rising. What do I do? Do I force myself to meditate? Do I try to clear my mind?
No, and I want to be really clear about this. It's not about clearing your mind. That's almost impossible in that state, and trying just leads to more tension, more retroflection. The answer is in something called phenomenology.
Phenomenology. Okay, unpack that for us.
It sounds complex, but it's actually the simplest thing in the world. It means describing your experience without interpreting it.
Moving from the story to the sensation.
Exactly.
Okay, walk me through an example. The difference between story and sensation.
Okay. So you sit down, you feel that urge to run. The story is, I'm anxious, I'm failing at this, I have too much to do, this is a waste of time. That's all interpretation.
Right. The narrative.
Phenomenology is dropping below your neck. You just notice what's actually happening biologically. You say, my breath is shallow, my hands are cold, there is a fluttering under my ribs.
It sounds almost too simple. How does describing my cold hands help me deal with existential dread?
Because it grounds you in the biological reality of this exact moment. It takes you out of the future where anxiety lives and into the now where your body lives. The body is the anchor. And you stop avoiding, you're just acknowledging what is.
So instead of trying to fix the grief, I just describe it to myself.
You let it occupy space. You let the weight of it sit in your chest for 10 seconds. You don't push it away and you don't dive into the story of why it's there. You just feel the weight.
There's this idea that the body holds the blueprint for wholeness. That if we stop interrupting it, it knows what to do.
It absolutely does. I mean, think about a sigh. You don't have to teach your body how to sigh, or how to cry, or how to soften. It happens automatically if we stop hitting the brakes, if we stop the retroflection.
So the contact cycle completes itself.
Exactly. If you just sit with that fluttering in your chest, eventually your body might just take a deep breath all on its own.
So the paradox is that the thing we are avoiding, the silence, the feeling, is the only thing that can actually restore us.
It is. We think silence is a void, but it's actually a container.
A container.
It's the sacred space where you can finally meet the raw, trembling, imperfect human you actually are. Not the person on your resume, not the person on social media, just you.
That is
Right.
scary, but it's also incredibly hopeful. It reframes the goal entirely. The goal isn't to be chill or more productive. The goal is to be in contact with myself, to not abandon myself.
I am not abandoning myself. I think that is the core mantra here. When we grab the phone, we are abandoning ourselves in that moment. We're leaving the room because the person in the room, us, is in pain.
We outsource our inner world to the noise.
But when we just observe the discomfort, we become a companion to ourselves. We're saying, I see you're hurting, I'm staying right here with you.
This would get easier. If I do this, if I sit through the hum, what happens?
It settles. The old ache doesn't just vanish. It's not magic, but it loses its urgency. It stops screaming. It becomes just one part of the fabric of who you are.
I love that. The idea that peace isn't found in changing your circumstances, but in your capacity to stay. To just stay with yourself when things get loud inside.
And it changes the definition of responsibility. We think of it as a burden bills, deadlines. But here, responsibility is reframed as intimacy. It's the willingness to be accountable for your own experience, to say, this is my fear, it belongs to me, and I can hold it.
The silence becomes a sanctuary instead of a cell.
A sanctuary where you can finally hear the questions that really matter. Not the to-do list, but the deeper ones. What is this quiet trying to tell me?
You know, there was one final thought that really stuck with me. It takes this whole internal struggle and sort of turns it outward. We've talked about this as a very solitary act. But the question was, what if this silence isn't just yours?
And that's where it connects to everything. If we are all running from our own silence, we are all running from each other, too. We're just bouncing off each other's armor. We're projecting our unfinished business onto our partners, our kids, our colleagues.
But if I can learn to stay with my own silence, my own grief, my own longing, then maybe I can sit with yours, too.
You become a sanctuary for others. Because you aren't terrified of depth anymore. You've been there. You know the terrain. You don't need to fix them. Just like you didn't need to fix yourself, you can just be with them.
So the silence is trying to teach us how to be human.
It's trying to teach us that we are already whole. We don't need to add anything. We just need to stop running from what is already there.
This has been a lot to sit with.
Yeah.
Ironically, I feel like I have a new toolkit now. It's not about forcing calm. It's about spotting the defenses, the retroflexion, the introjection, and then just describing the sensation.
Just describing it. Start small.
I think I need to turn everything off after this and just test the waters. Just for 10 seconds.
Just 10 seconds. Start there. Don't look for peace. Look for contact.
Thank you for walking us through this. It's given me completely different language for my own restlessness.
It's my pleasure. Just remember, the silence isn't empty. It's full of you.
And on that note, we're going to sign off. No outro music today. Just see what happens when the sound stops. Take care of yourselves.